I was reviewing videos the other day from our retreat, end of last year, and one of them caught me off guard a little bit. I was watching back Erica's chat with Kirsty at the end of the retreat, and in it, Erica says, I was the first person that had ever asked her what she wanted. Often I get really good answers to what people want, like genuine, coherent, covers all the right bases, and sounded like someone who had really thought about their business and life. And lots of the other times I get a big old long list of things that they don't want. And both the list of I don't want and the good answers that look great on the outside, both often have one thing in common. They're not theirs. When Erica said Sarah was the first person who had asked me in a long time what I really wanted, what did I want? And it felt like permission to want for myself, actually made me feel a little bit tearful, because it tells me and reminds me how often as business owners and women and mums, we're so busy wanting for everyone else, we've forgotten to want for ourselves. You have all these answers, but the truthful question is it yours? Is it what you really want? I know for me, for a long time was, one, I didn't know how to answer that because I genuinely didn't know what I wanted for myself. I had to sit with it for a long time before I could really answer it honestly, because that question sat with me for so long. It's been something that's really important what I do with my women. I ask a version of that, what do you really want, to every client that we work with. Not because I'm trying to catch you out or trip you up, but because when you know what you want, the answer changes everything that comes after it. In 1899, Kate Chopin published a novel called The Awakening. It's about a woman who dared to want something for herself, not for her children, not for her husband, for herself. And the world was not ready. The critics called it poison, it was censored, and Chopin never recovered professionally. That was over 125 years ago. And I keep coming back to it because the thing that strikes me is that the world has changed enormously since 1899, but the permission architecture has not. There is still a ceiling on female desire. It's not written down anywhere. It's not in a policy document, but it is operating consistently in the lives of almost every woman I work with. It goes like this. You're permitted to want for others. You're permitted to want success for your children, security for your family, health for your community, growth for your team, results for your customers and clients. But the desire that names itself in the first person, I want this for me and only me, remains culturally suspicious and is still coded as selfish and is subject to a kind of internal social sanction that we've learned so early on that we've stopped noticing that it runs. The scholarly name for this is a permission deficit, and it operates at about 3 levels. The first is cultural, the Chopin level. Over a century of messaging, explicit and implied, that a woman wants are most legitimate when they are in service of someone else. We've absorbed this before we were even old enough to question it. The second is relational. As the primary parent, the emotional regulation center of a household, we've been structurally positioned in the person whose job it is to hold what everyone else needs. Over time, this can solidify into an identity in which my own preferences become less legible even to me. I had a client who, when I asked her what she actually wanted, looked at me and said, "No one has ever asked me that before." She wasn't young, and she'd been running a business for a little while. Years of advice and coaching and support, and not one of them had asked her what she actually wanted for herself. That is a structural indictment of an entire ecosystem built without us at the center of our own businesses. And the third level here is professional. Business advisory, most of the time, treats the business owner's personal desires as secondary data. Nice for context, useful for motivation, but not the primary input into strategy. The easeful standard says the opposite of this. What you actually want is not background to the work. It is the structure of every recommendation worth making. Here's the bit that I think matters most and gets missed most often. When you have an undeclared desire, it does not disappear. When a woman cannot name what she wants because the permission deficit makes it feel too risky, too selfish, too uncertain, that desire doesn't go away. Migrates underground. And from underground, it runs decisions through avoidance, through dissatisfaction that she can't quite explain, through the pattern of building things that are almost right but not quite, so maybe not launching or starting or getting out into the public world, through the exhausting performance of wanting what you've been told to want, she should want, while the real want sits underneath it, ungoverned, unnamed, and actively pulling your life in directions you can't see because you've never looked directly at the source. This is why Desires Declared is not a values exercise at the Moxie Movement. We don't do a vision board session. It's not a goal-setting conversation. It's actually a structural prerequisite to everything we do. Because until you as the business owner have articulated what you actually want, specifically, personally, and without loads of qualifications, it's not possible to build a business or life that is meaningfully aligned with your vision. Because the vision's unclear. We don't know where we're supposed to be going. Not because you lack ambition, but because you've never been given full permission to have it. The daring to claim standard, that's the scale we use for this particular accelerator, runs from still waiting at one end to permission granted at the other. Still waiting is the woman who defers her own desires to a future conditional, when the kids are older, when the business is more stable, when I've earned it, when things calm down. The woman at this end has been waiting for external permission that is never coming because nobody else has the authority to grant it. Only she does. Permission granted is the woman who has made the internal shift from deferred to declared. She has named what she wants and is building towards it without requiring any external validation to begin. The radiant matriarch, the version of her on the other side of this work, isn't waiting. She decided, not at the next milestone, now. What I find when I do this work with clients is that the desires she's been managing down are almost never outrageous. They're specific and human and often surprisingly simple. She wants a week away without her phone and to know the business didn't wobble while she was gone. She wants to pay herself what she knows the role is worth. She wants a day that has something in it that is purely for her, not optimized or justified, just hers. She wants to be her kids' things, actually at them, not physically present and mentally still at work. She wants her business to still exist when her kids are growing. And she wants them to have watched her build it properly. None of those are greedy desires. They are the desires of someone who has been running on contribution and service for years, has quietly, slowly stopped including herself in the people she is serving. The act of declaring desire, plainly, specifically, out loud and on paper, is the act of becoming the only permission you ever needed. But Sarah, I genuinely don't know what I want anymore. I've been doing this so long that I've forgotten why. And I suspect the rest of this question would be a little longer and would be, I've been doing this for so long, I've lost the reason why, and I'm doing it because I feel stuck. And it's really easy to get here. I don't think this is ever a crisis, and I don't think this is something to ever look at and go, oh my God, I made a mess of this. It's actually really important when you get to this and you go, I've been doing this for a long time and I don't actually know what I want out of it. And recognize that noticing that and being able to name that is actually key. The fact that you can even ask me this question is a great place to start. This happens regularly on a business journey. Sometimes the reason why you started was because it was someone else's, or it was genuinely yours at the time, but you've grown past it and now you want it to be bigger, and no one's told you it's allowed to grow past it and have it bigger. And you're still running on what got you started originally, and somewhere along the line, you wanted something different and you haven't noticed until right now, and you're standing in it. It feels a bit hollow. This is the permission deficit doing exactly what it does. You can't name the new want because you were never properly given permission to have the old one. Asking for a second one feels like way too much. Here's where I'd start. Just with one honest question. What would you be doing in your business right now if nobody was watching and nobody had an opinion? It won't be an impressive answer, and it probably won't be the responsible answer either. What's the actual truthful answer? This one might feel a bit embarrassing, too small, too big, or not what you're supposed to want at this stage. But that answer is the thread. We want to follow it, pull it. Because what I found sitting across from women who say, I don't know what I want anymore, is that they almost always do know. They've just been managing that knowledge down for so long because it felt inconvenient or selfish or like it would require too much change that they've lost access to it. The desire didn't go anywhere, a little bit underground maybe. Your job is not to manufacture a new one. Your job is to go find the one that's already there and give it the permission to come up. This is probably why you started in the first place. You find your way back to it, the hollowness will go away. Get me a piece of paper and just do this one job today. Finish this sentence down on paper, not in your head. I don't want the edited version. I don't want the acceptable version. I want the actual one. The version of my life I actually want looks like, and then write it down before you talk yourself out of it. Not the managed down version. The managed down version can come second if you need it, but write the real one first. Next up, the part of what you're building that you can't see yet. The reach of it's beyond you, beyond your direct involvement, beyond what you can currently measure. I love sharing this one because I think it lands really hard for a lot of women like you. Till next time, stay moxie.